Hello, namaste, good morning, and a warm welcome to my kitchen, the Queen's Curry Kitchen. Thank you so much for showing me so much love on TikTok and Instagram about the post that I can teach you how to cook. So a lot of you girls have responded to that, and some of the common questions that I've gotten, which I'm trying to address through this series of live videos that I'm putting out, is about spices. Like, what kind of spices do you use? How do we use the spices? What all do we need to cook a good Indian meal? Yada, yada, yada. So I thought, well, I'm actually cooking for my family and for dinner. But I thought I should bring you in and we can really have this chit chat. If you have any questions along the way, you can drop it in the comments and I will try to answer all of them for you. Today I'm making a cabbage. Is a little there. So that's what I'm making right over here. You can see I've got the process started. No, I am not going to teach you the recipe for this, but this is what I'm making. And then alongside this, I am going to show you what are the spices we need, how to get the flavor, what does each spice even do, because a lot of you girls are confused about that. So you know what? Do not despair. Indian food cooking auntie is here. I'm just gonna give this a toss. I'm gonna cover it back up so that the peas can actually cook in the little steam that is there. At this stage, I'm also gonna add a little bit of garam masala. So all I did was added some cumin seeds to the hot oil, washed and cut my cabbage, and plopped it in there with some ginger garlic paste and a little bit of onion. Sauteed it for a while, added all my dry spices like turmeric, paprika, and coriander powder and turmeric. And then I just let it cook. Then I covered it briefly for the cabbage to really cook well. Now the heat is all the way at the lowest setting. And I have to just wait for the peas to cook. All right, so coming to the most interesting part, for which you guys asked for a lot of help, is the spices. First of all, you don't have to go to the supermarket to look for any spices. If you go to my website, queenscurrykitchen.com, and go on the online shop right there, you will get all of the spices that I use. You'll be able to buy a spice box. This is a stainless steel masala dabba. It comes with all these ramekins and a stainless steel spoon. Mine is wood because I lost my steel one. You'll get this. You can buy it just by itself, empty, without any of the spices, or you can buy it fully loaded with the spices. The spices will come in individual packets, and those have been measured exactly to fit these ramekins. So when you open your box, you're going to get an empty stainless steel box. You can give it a rinse, you can dry it, and then you can transfer all of the spices into the ramekins, and you will be good to go. I'm going to go over each and every spice and tell you what it is. So the packets that you'll get the spices in are going to be already pre-measured, and they will exactly fit these ramekins, okay? That's how it goes out. It'll also have a gift wrap. It'll have a thank you card attached to it, so all of that. I'll try to put in a couple of recipes as well in which you can use these spices. So let me go one by one over all of the spices. In the Indian category, there is something called whole spices. There is something called powdered spices. And then there's something called aromatics, which are herbs or other aromatics. So in the whole spices, you have things like cloves. These are, okay, you can use them whole. You can use them as a powder. They have a very, almost like a sharp, strong aroma. If you've ever used clove oil at the dentist's office, or if you've used, the cloves that you stick in the ham, this is the same clove. Then this is something called black cardamom. Most of the places only use the seeds, but I just like to, when I'm boiling my curry or creating my curry base, I just put the whole pod. It has little tiny black seeds inside. And then I take it out after it's done, because these have done their job. If you put them in hot oil or you boil them in a broth or some kind of liquid, this already does its job. So then you should take them out. It's hard to fish for cloves and things like that because they're just so small. So you can literally take a cheesecloth and make a little muslin bag and stick it in there to give flavor. Or you can just use the powdered version. Okay, then we have our good old cinnamon. You can use the sticks. These are very easy to fish out. You can use it to flavor your broths. You can use it to make chai. You can also use it for your curries. You can use it for pulao, for rice, anything. Then I have cardamom. I've actually powdered it, but this is green cardamom. This is the small tiny cardamom that is used in Scandinavian sweets. It's used a lot in Indian sweets and desserts. I also use it in my savories. So when I'm making chicken curry or lamb kofte or anything, I always add a little cardamom. I also like to add cardamom to dishes in which I want to give a nice depth of flavor and almost like a aroma without it being overbearing. So you have to use it very judiciously. You can add it at any stage of cooking and you don't have to weed it out. You also add it to your rice pudding. You can add it to custard. You can add it to, like I just baked the banana cake in the air fryer. I added to that along with cinnamon. So all of that. If you can't find whole spices, get the powders. It's totally cool. Whole spices, of course, they linger for a longer time and they infuse the oil with the aromas. So that's the difference. If you add powdered spices, once the broth is simmering or the curry is simmering, that's fine too. You don't have to take anything out. And if you're just starting out, it might be a really good idea to do that. Okay. Now we also have bay leaves in this category. We have mustard seeds. We have cumin seeds. These are all aromatics. There's like a whole lot of whole spices, but on a daily basis, clove, cinnamon, and cardamom and bay leaf are the ones that I use the most. Even the black cardamom I don't use on a daily basis, but the green cardamom, the cloves, and cinnamon. It's called long ilaichi dalchini. This trinity I use a lot, and it's a really good, well-rounded flavor. Okay. In Bengali cooking, which is where from my mom is, what they do is they actually take cloves and cardamom and they crush it in a mortar and pestle and they keep it handy. And after the cooking process ends, they take this little coarsely ground cloves and cinnamon powder and then they sprinkle it on their fish curry or whatever and then they cover it. They do not continue to cook after adding that. So different regions do it differently, but these are the basics. Okay. Now for some other aromatics, things that can add aroma and flavor to your curries and your Indian food. If you have these things in your fridge, well and good. If you don't have anything, if you don't have any of the powdered spices, if you don't have any of the whole spices, but if you have pumpkin pie spice from McCormick, I am telling you, you can still make Indian food, okay? So pumpkin pie spice from McCormick, some turmeric, and maybe some garam masala or paprika. You'll be good. You can still make some Indian tasting food, okay? Because pumpkin pie spice pretty much is a blend of all of the aromatics, so it's really great. So some other things that we use to add aroma and flavor and underlying flavor to develop the taste of Indian food, to create the layers of flavor. One very important component that we use is ginger and garlic. There are some recipes that always call for just ginger, some recipes that call for just garlic, and some recipes that call for a combination of ginger and garlic. So ginger should always be twice the quantity of garlic. If you make a paste out of it, it adds the thickness to your curries, but also make sure you add them to oil and take the time to fry it out so that the raw smell of the garlic does not linger, okay? So unlike Italian food or Mediterranean food, we never add garlic to cold oil. So this is Indian cooking, Chinese cooking. The oil has to be really, really hot, and then you add your ginger and garlic and you cook it out. So that way it gets infused into the oil. It doesn't have a raw smell that lingers over your food, and it has a nice flavor that it imparts to your curry. So it's building of the layers of flavor. So you have the hot oil, you add the cumin seeds, that's one layer of flavor. Then you add some onions, you caramelize those, that's second layer of flavor. While that's happening, you're going to add the ginger and garlic, that's the third layer of flavor. Then you're going to add your actual vegetable or meat, whatever it is, that's the fourth layer of flavor. Then you're going to add your powdered spices, that's the fifth layer of flavor. Then you're going to add the water or the broth to make the curry, that's the sixth layer. So this is how it happens, and Indian food is built in layers, which is why when you take a bite of Indian food, you actually, those flavors explode on your palate and it's a time release. So you are able to experience those things. It's almost like wearing a lot of layers when you go out on a cold day, but then when you come indoors, you want to take off the scarf, you want to take off the hat, you want to take off the jacket, you want to take off the vest, you want to take off the sweatshirt, whatever it is. So really, it's like building the layers. The more layers you have, the more warm and comforting your food is, just like dressing up for the cold weather. And the fewer layers you have, the food is going to be lighter which is why when the seasons change, you don't use very hearty curries. You make lighter sauces, you make broth based food, more of tomato and garlic and maybe a little bit of lemon juice and curry leaves, things like that. So over the seasons, this is how you calibrate your layers of flavor so that you can change it according to what's in season and what is good for your body in terms of how well you can digest heavy foods. Okay, now I'm going to come to the powdered spices. I think there's so many questions about it and everyone wants to know what is the function of these particular spices one by one. So I'm going to go over the spices that come in your masala box. These are the spices that will come in your masala box when you order it from queenscurrykitchen.com. Okay, I'm going to go through them one by one and tell you what each one does. I'm going to start with the one that everyone knows about. This is turmeric or haldi powder. Okay, this is turmeric that's ground into a powder. This is going to come for your masala box and you will get a packet that's actually going to fill this to the top. Then we have, this adds the beautiful yellow coloring to your Indian food. Also, it's a great disinfectant. It's a great antimicrobial. So whenever you're rinsing your meat or chicken or fish, add a little bit of salt and turmeric to the marination and let it sit for 5 minutes before you rinse it out. When I'm working with chicken or fish, I also like to add a little lemon juice and then I rinse it out and then I do my actual marination or frying or sauteing, whatever I need to do. So definitely don't forget the beauty of turmeric. Also, if you take turmeric in your food, make sure to add some black pepper because that's the thing that helps with the absorption of turmeric. So all of the goodness, in fact, even capsules that they give you for joint pain, which is curcumin, combination of turmeric and black pepper. Do not take this turmeric by the spoonful or put it in your smoothies. You're going to have ulcers and it's going to really burn the insides of your esophagus. So be very careful. Don't jump on every trend that you see on the internet. It's great in small quantities in your food. It's really great. If you get hurt, it's a great antiseptic. You can make a little paste with coconut oil or just with warm water and put it on your wounds. It really heals well. You can use it for brushing your teeth. All of that you can do, but don't take like teaspoons full of turmeric and swallow that. Okay, that's not good. The next one that I'm going to talk about is paprika. A lot of Indian homes also have cayenne pepper in this instead of paprika. Cayenne pepper is actually the hot peppers that are dried and ground into a powder. So it's a lighter color. It also adds a lot of heat to your food. I don't eat spicy food. I like spices, but I don't like hot and spicy. So I don't use heat in my food. If you like hot food, then you can get cayenne pepper and put that in here. I use paprika. It gives a nice sweet taste. It's not exactly sweet as sugar, but it's got like this beautiful color that it gives to your food and your curries. Also, when you're cooking, it's a great indicator to know that your food is ready because all of the paprika and the oil and the curry will, just skim to the top and you will see that film of paprika on top and then you know that your curry is ready. So this is a great indicator. So this is a great yardstick to know when your curry is done. The next thing that's going to come in your masala box is cumin seeds. These are little tiny seeds and you can use them at different stages of cooking. You can add it to hot oil and you can allow it to splutter. If you make it slightly brown, it's going to have an earthy taste. If you cook it till it's completely black, it's going to have a totally different aroma. So in Bengali food, jeera, which is cumin seeds, and bay leaves are actually cooked in mustard oil till they are black. And then other things are added. In North Indian cooking, we don't blacken them at all. We just try to, get them to splutter a little bit and kind of roast a little bit. You'll be able to smell the aromas in your kitchen when this is roasting, and then you add your vegetables or whatever. This is also used a lot in the tempering of dals and lentils. I have got a dal tadka video, which is like a lentil tempering. You can see that. I start with jeera. This is my favorite. I use it in everything that I make. Okay. All right. So definitely use this. Use it in hot oil. You can also dry roast it and grind it and use it on your savory street foods like a chaat masala, and you can just use it on top. It has a very woody kind of earthy flavor and it adds that kick to street foods. Okay, then we come to the Indian curry powder. This is going to be in your masala box. This is most of a very North Indian style curry powder. So you can use that in your lentils, you can use that in your chana masala, you can use that in your dal makhni, lobia, you can use it in your saag paneer, you can use it in your kadai paneer. It has a very distinct kind of a flavor. If you are from India, and you like Maggi noodles, this is the flavor that's in that taste maker. So if you like the Maggi noodles taste maker, this is what it tastes like. It's really good to make like a basic chicken curry. I also use it in my pulao and my rice dishes that I'm making. I use it for my dry sabjis sometimes. If I'm making stuffed eggplant, or if I'm making stuffed karele, which is bitter gourd, I use a little bit of this inside the filling along with the other spices. It's really, really good. If you just take potatoes and saute them with a little cumin seeds, Indian curry powder, turmeric, and fenugreek, it's a really great dry stir fry. Okay, so this is definitely going to come in your masala box. It's absolutely mwah, to die for. The next one that I have is garam masala. My garam masala is home ground. So I actually roast all of the whole spices, and then I dry roast them. Then I let them cool, and then I grind them. It's a combination of black cardamom, green cardamom, cumin seeds, cloves, cinnamon, black peppercorns. Okay, so this is the garam masala. It's extremely aromatic, and I don't really add it till the end of the meal. I don't really add it in the cooking process. I like to add it in the end of the meal. I'm just gonna give this a good stir. I think this is ready. Oh my god, it smells incredible in here. Okay, so my cabbage with the peas is ready. I'm gonna turn this off. Okay, all right, going back to the masala box. So this is definitely a must-have. You only need a pinch of it. You don't need to do too much. It's going to burn your throat. You just need a pinch of it. It's extremely aromatic, and you can add it just as a garnish before serving. So when your cooking process is finished, you can just add that. It's going to give it the most beautiful aroma. Then we have coriander seed powder. This is made from coriander seeds. Coriander seeds are the seeds that make the cilantro plant. Okay, so in case people don't understand the progression. It's a little round brown seed. I think it's also easily available in Asian supermarkets. It's very easily available in Russian, Georgian, some North European supermarkets. You easily get them in Whole Foods. Pretty much all supermarkets now have coriander seed powder or coriander seeds. So this is what we have. It's got almost like it's almost, I want to say minty, but it's not minty. It's just got its own aroma. And this is the thing that you add in the most quantity because it helps to thicken up your curry sauce. Okay, but also it turns your dishes black very quickly. So you have to be very careful when you're making. Rely more on the aromatics of ginger, garlic, curry leaves, things like that. Don't try to do an overkill with the coriander seed powder. When you're doing curry-based dishes, you can add coriander seed powder because the water kind of, you know, neutralizes. Seed powder is really, really good for thickening up your curries, for giving it a nice base flavor. It doesn't have a very strong flavor, but it blends very well into everything else, and it creates a nice canvas for all the other spices to do their thing. Okay, the next thing that you're going to find in your masala box is going to be, I think I already spoke about paprika, right? Yes, so paprika is more for color, not for heat. If you like cayenne pepper, then you can put cayenne pepper in this instead of paprika. My family does not eat heat, so we use paprika. The last but not the least one that I'm going to talk about is this dry fenugreek herb, which I include in the masala box, which I think is quintessential accessory to any North Indian cooking. This is actually an herb that's also used in its fresh green form, and we call it methi ka saag or methi. But when it's dried, you can actually use the benefits of this all year round. It's really great. It has a very deep kind of earthy aroma. And when you use it in your curries or in your dry dishes, it actually makes it taste like you've slogged in the kitchen for hours. So when you're trying to do those shortcuts and you're making something really quick, but you want to give it that taste as if you've sat there all day and cooked this food, that's when you're going to use this. A good combination in the North Indian cuisine is you can start with ghee to create a tempering. You add the cumin seeds and you add the dry fenugreek, and it's absolutely a match made in heaven. These two flavors together with a little bit of ginger is absolutely mind-blowing. You can use that for your chickpeas, you can use that for your cauliflower, you can use that for your paneer dishes. Add a little of, so just a little bit of everything is great. But if you have nothing and you have these two, you're good. If you only have the Punjabi, what do you call Punjabi, the curry powder, that's great too. some kind of seed and some kind of powder is really a good base to make anything, right? So these two are mostly for color and appearance. All of the others are mostly for taste. So you know what? The more you play with it, the better it is. A good experiment would be to just have some boiled potatoes, take a skillet, and then add one or two of these and see how the boiled potatoes taste. And it'll tell you, it's a very good blank canvas to see, to understand what these spices and their taste is like. Okay, so this is the entire box that comes to you. It'll come fully loaded. The spices are not going to be in the ramekins, but it'll be in separate packets. They will be labeled. You can use the masala box because it prevents all of your big chunks of masala from getting moisture and getting their hands in. You just take out a little bit, whatever you need. It prevents the bigger boxes from getting exposed to moisture and light, so they stay potent for a long time. You just use little quantities and then you refill as needed. You can also dishwash this. You can hand wash it. You can stick it in the dishwasher. It's really, really good. It's a tool. I think in my mom's house, the masala dabba that they have is older than me, and I am 52 years old right now. So the masala box in my mom's house is way beyond that, and it's just always been there. It's dented and bent, but she's not gonna let go of it. Okay, so that's what the masala box is about. We already spoke about the whole spices and the aromatics. A couple of other aromatics that I would like to tell you about is one which is called asafoetida. That's hing. This is a sap of a tree. It's like almost like a gum that comes out from a tree that grows primarily in Afghanistan, and then it's actually ground down with wheat to kind of create that powder texture. So if you have a gluten allergy or wheat sensitivity, only get the one that's gluten-free. Don't get this brand. It's got a very sharp aroma. If you smell it by itself, you'll be like, ew, I don't like it. But trust me, when it goes into curries where you're not using ginger or garlic or onions, if you use this in any dish that's not using ginger, garlic, onions, or whatever for religious reasons or just because you don't have it, you add a little bit of hing to it and it really elevates it. So it gives it that umami, but it also gives it a very nice subtle aroma. Just use it in moderation. Don't use too much of it because it can get a little overpowering and it can make your entire dish bitter. So just a pinch of it is perfect. I also like to use it in my pani puri water because I think it really gives it that oomph. It's extensively used in making papadums. It's used a lot in South Indian cooking and it's really, really good. So this is another aromatic that you'll always find in an Indian kitchen. The next one that I'm going to talk about is called curry leaves. And if you don't live near an Indian supermarket, then you may not have access to it. These are fresh curry leaves. You can see these are nice and fresh. Mine are turning a little brown because I think I bought them, but I haven't used them in a while. So yes, if you want to preserve them, just take them away from the stem and then wrap them in a piece of aluminum foil and stick them in your fridge. They're going to last forever and ever. You can also put it in the freezer if it's wrapped in aluminum foil. It'll do really good. Okay, so this is a combination of almost like, how do I even explain it? As if ginger and lemon and garlic had a baby. So this is kind of like the taste. It's not like the kefir lime leaves at all. It's got a very, it's peppery, but it's also ginger. I don't think there is any substitute for this flavor in the Indian flavor repertoire. There is no substitute for curry leaf. Some people like to dry roast it and then make it into a powder and then store it in a box or whatever. Make a podi out of it. Podi is powder, but I've just never had to do that. I live in New York, so it's easily accessible. Also, we have 5 Indian restaurants. So whenever I run out, when I go to work at the restaurant, I just bring what I need to bring. So this is a great addition, especially if you're making South Indian food, if you're making Gujarati food. This is really, really a great addition. Just remember, whenever you use this, just make sure you rip it and not put the leaves whole. When you rip it, then all of the oils get released and you can actually taste the flavor of it in your curry, whatever you're making. Okay, so with that being said, I think I've pretty much covered quite a few of the aromatics. If you have any questions about what I discussed today, definitely drop a comment below. If you need to go back and see this video because if you missed something or you joined in late, please go ahead and do that. If you want to order the masala box, it's on my website, queenscurrykitchen.com. It will come fully loaded. Shipping is free all over the US. It comes with a lid. So you put the lid and you put it away in your cabinet. When it's empty, you give it a wash and you wipe it down, and then you reload it with your spices. So this is definitely a very essential tool. If you go to my website, you will also find a free chana masala recipe download. Do not miss that. If you've never tried your hands at Indian food, it might be a very good ice-breaking recipe. I've literally ripped down that shredded recipe. I've shredded that recipe down to the bare basics so that you don't need a million ingredients. It's just very easy to put together with some tomato puree, with some ginger, etc. Simple things that you can get at the supermarket and in your pantry. So definitely give that chana masala recipe a try. In addition to that, I also have a lot of ebooks on my website that you can download, and you can start cooking just like I cook in my kitchen every single day. I've been doing this for almost 30 years, and so I also have a lot of muscle memory where I can just put things without measuring and it'll still taste good. All the books and recipes have measurements, so you will not have a problem if you're someone that's new to cooking and you feel a little unsure. Even though you use the measurements from any recipe, definitely taste your food and see if it's something that your palate loves. If you love it, you're going to make it better, and it's going to keep getting better with time. And if you make any calibrations to a recipe based on your family, like you want to make it more spicy, less spicy, you want to change the consistency and make it thick or runny or whatever it is, depending on whether you're eating it with rice or bread, please feel free to make those changes. Make it your own. All of my ebooks are very thin, so you can actually just download it on your phone or your iPad, take it into your kitchen. If you want to do printouts of it, you could. It's literally like 5 or 6 recipes that I've put in every book. About the most recipes I've put in a book are about 10. So I've kept it very manageable. It's not a big thesaurus of recipes. It's not overwhelming at all. It does not have 100 recipes, but there are books on every category. There's a book on the rice recipes of India. There's a book on breads. There is a book on curry secrets based on the mother sauces that we make in our Indian restaurant right here in New York. And based off of those mother sauces, there is one recipe that will work. A lot of the books are actually vegetarian cuisine, but you can absolutely substitute it with chicken or mushrooms or whatever it is that you want to eat. You can put that in there. A lot of the recipes are vegetarian. If you are omnivorous or if you have a flexitarian family, there is a book called The Spice of Life, where me and another spice vendor from UK, we actually teamed up together during the pandemic, and we co-wrote this book. It's an ebook. You can download it. It's called The Spice of Life, and we've taken the top 5 spices that are used in the Indian kitchen, and he's done a chicken or a meat-based recipe from that spice, and I've done a vegetarian or a plant-based recipe from that spice. So what happens is that you buy the spice and then you're like, well, I just made this one recipe. Now I have this whole bottle. What am I going to do with it? That's why we came up with this book. So if you're flexitarian, if you're omnivorous, if you're throwing a party where there's going to be mixed guests, you can absolutely use the same book and create 2 different recipes. So if there's like a saffron, that is the spice that we're discussing. I've taught you how to make a kheer, and I think he's taught you how to make a saffron shrimp or something. The recipes are really good. The spices are very easily available wherever you live. And now, of course, Amazon has everything. If you don't find a particular spice, definitely hit me up, send me a DM or comment on this video. I'll send you a link directly to buy the masala box with the spices. You can also order just the refill on the spices, because this box you'll only buy it's a one-time investment. You'll not be buying this again and again, but once the spices are finished, you can absolutely request a replenishment on the spices, and you can just order the spice pack. Okay, so that was something about the books. Definitely start your journey somewhere. Don't be afraid. The way prices are going up, it's becoming increasingly hard to eat takeout every day. Also, whether you live by yourself or you have small children or you're a large family, it's just very impractical to keep eating food from outside. First of all, because you don't know how much oil, how much salt, what kind of oil, what kind of salt is going in your food. You cannot live on salads 365 days a year. You need to add variety. So the best thing to do is to really learn some simple cooking recipes that can happen in the kind of lifestyle that you live. Nobody has unlimited amount of time to spend in the kitchen, but we have gadgets like air fryers, we have gadgets like slow cookers and instant pots that can make our life a little easier. In my live videos, I do a lot of my cooking on instant pots. My house has 3 instant pots. There's actually one right now where I'm making chickpeas. The other one I'm making a mother sauce. So I work with them all the time. I also teach classes. So if you want to learn any basics on how to, cook Indian food, there's a class for every level, whether you're a beginner, whether you're an intermediate or an advanced level cook in the kitchen. Based on your skill, there's definitely a class that's out there. My classes are also listed on Class Bento. So if you want to get a link to that, definitely hit me up in the comments. I will send you a link. There are classes on Indian style Chinese food. There are classes on beverages like lassi and chai, how to make the perfect lassi, how to make the perfect chai. There is a class on how to make dips and chutneys. So I teach you how to make the tamarind chutney. I teach you how to make the mint chutney. There's a recipe on the Indian vegetarian thali where I teach you how to make dal and a sabzi. I teach you how to make roti. I teach you how to make the perfect basmati rice. So you decide where your skill level is at, and all the classes are online. I send you a Zoom link. I send you a list of ingredients that you need to buy. And then of course I'm absolutely accessible. You'll get access to my phone number, so you can always text and call, and if we're missing anything, we can always make sure that we're in alignment. And then on the day of the class, you cook on that side of the screen, I cook on this side of the screen. I go live with 2 devices, so one will constantly be focused on top of the stove, and with the other one you'll be able to see me. It's a lot of fun. You get to know me, I get to know you, and at the end of it, you've spent an hour and a half, and you have 2 or 3 dishes that you can enjoy for the rest of the week. You can call your friends over, you can make it for your family and get a huge amount of compliments. You get printouts of all the recipes that we're going to be covering in the class, so it's not like you'll be left high and dry. I'll also try to send you a recording of the actual class, so that if you want to look back at it, you can always request it and I can send you the recording. That's always great. Okay, so I think that's a wrap for today. I am heading out. I do have an appointment to keep, but as always, it's always lovely to hang out with you guys. Like I said, do not forget to check out the website queenscurrykitchen.com. Get your masala boxes, get your spice packets if you need. If you're too scared, just get a book or get the free recipe and try that out and see how you like it, right? If you have any questions with what I covered today, or if you have any suggestions of what else you'd like to see on this page, definitely drop me a comment, give me a follow, keep your notifications on so that you'll be notified whenever I'm going live next, and we can keep this conversation going. As always, I want you to be blissful and flavorful, and always make time to have a good home-cooked meal with your family as many times in a week as possible. Dine together. See you real soon in another video. Until then, be blissful and be flavorful. Until then, goodbye and God bless. Bye.